A definition of writing. Writing is communication with a goal. Included in the criteria for writing are skills known as the 4 C's: critical thinking, collaboration, creativity, and communication. Writing incorporates the student's ability to transfer and apply existing knowledge to a problem in a new context. Learning only to write in an English classroom is comparable to only learning to drive around the same block. Also included in the criteria for good writing are what Culham calls the 7 traits of good writing, and they are defined as having the qualities of ideas, organization, word choice, voice, sentence, fluency, conventions, and presentation. Writing should be practiced, taught, and required across all content areas, but it must start in ELA class. In fact, the Common Core standards reflect the view of ELA being primary with its own set of standards. 2 sets of standards, one for ELA and one for the other content areas, shows that the division reflects the unique, time-honored place of ELA teachers in developing students' literacy skills, while at the same time recognizing that teachers in other areas must play a role in this development as well. Evidence 1. According to the Common Core standards, there is a shared responsibility for students' literacy development. Rather than focus on literary writing narrative as conveying experience, the goal here is to focus more on creative nonfiction or on literary fiction that utilizes various literary elements. Once learned, the overall focus for those literary devices to be folded into other kinds of multi-genre or blended essay writing. Claim 2. Argumentative and persuasive essays begin in ELA class. To prepare students to enter the workforce, they must be able to argue and persuade. Evidence 2. Argumentative and persuasive writing focuses on facts and proof. Good arguing takes real skill and knowledge of content. By clearly presenting the facts, people can argue and persuade others through writing. Claim 3. Content area literacy is the ability to use reading and writing for the acquisition of new content in a given discipline. Such ability includes 3 principal cognitive components: general literacy skills, content-specific literacy skills, and prior knowledge of content. While this practice is celebrated in English class, each content area has its own language it must teach and give opportunity for practice by students in order to master its usage. While students are learning the language of their content area, in school we learn to be citizens of the world as well. As such, we must apply a culturally pluralistic approach to teaching and learning writing in the disciplines. Students must have experience with real-world situations of writing that include formats such as blogs, emails, advertisements, nonfiction case files, and procedural documents, just to name a few. These formats are cross-content and not just ELA-based. Having a foundation in writing with numbers, science-based facts, and historical writing will serve the students well. Students write tweets, for example, and that has a format that they have to learn all its own. Evidence 3. Writing is for everyone. William Zinsser writes that writing isn't something that only writers do. Writing is a basic skill for getting through life. It isn't a special language that belongs to English teachers and a few other sensitive people who should have a gift for words. Writing is thinking on paper. Anyone who thinks clearly should be able to write clearly about any subject at all. Writing can be used as a tool for thinking, processing, learning, summarizing, organizing, and reflecting. Writing can be used to communicate ideas and thoughts, build a position for argument, and keep you on track when you're at the grocery store. Writing is versatile. It has unique properties that change depending on the objective. Most importantly, writing has the potential to improve learning. If the goal is to help prepare students for real-world rhetorical situations, then teaching writing across the curriculum means preparing students for the multilingual spaces in which they will be writing and working. Poe indicates that writing instruction across the curriculum must account for the intersections of racial histories and identities with written communication when instructors plan, deliver, and evaluate student writing. Counterclaim. Writing should be kept in English class because many schools do not have the funds for the professional development to train teachers to teach writing in other content areas. They might not have the support from administrators, and many claim that high-stake tests drive curricula and require very little writing. In fact, some 14% of 12th graders report being asked to do no writing for homework at all. Many teachers lack sufficient time to open their doors to collaboration from other content area teachers. They also lack the time to focus on content outside their own. Writing across content provides students with the skills to collaborate, communicate, problem solve, make decisions, understand and explore bias, summarize, persuade, and set goals. It is the perfect blend of melting together multiple content areas, genres, and goals for communication to prepare students for a more demanding world outside of school. We must write in various areas of our everyday lives, and only learning to write an essay leaves people woefully lacking in the necessary communication skills. During interviews of people who use writing, the argument for preparing students for life outside of school is even more relevant. I interviewed students at a high school SUPA class, which is Introduction to Creative Nonfiction Writing, and they provided some informal feedback about how their ELA classes have or have not prepared them for this class. All 10 students in the class are seniors and a mix of male and female and multiple ethnicities. They completed their first multimodal assignment for class and presented their work this week. When asked what mode they used, they all responded it was an interview. When asked if their ELA classes prepared them for this work, they said no. Only one student said their lit class prepared them for creative writing. They say that what ELA is lacking is the ability to talk about themselves. In ELA class, it's all academic writing. They had to learn an entirely new way of writing for this class, writing about themselves in a creative format. ELA prepares students for conducting research and piecing together sources, making an argument and writing a traditional essay, but ELA class lacks the multimodal element and writing creatively. A prosecuting attorney in Detroit, Michigan shared with me that she has to clearly and succinctly write up the reasons for prosecuting someone in a way that removes the potential for the perpetrator's doubt. This is the essence of writing for argument and or persuasion. A lawyer must cultivate various sources and pieces of information to paint a picture of wrongdoing. Presenting unbiased information to support a position is something we teach in ELA, but we teach it using nonfiction materials. Lawyers must incorporate real-life accounts with details, data, and eyewitness statements while focusing on the specifications of the law. Law is concrete and interpretation is painstakingly constructed. We don't teach this in school. She says she wasn't prepared for the type of writing she has to do despite having participated in mock trial in social studies and English while in high school. Those were fluff pieces, she says. Nothing that could make or break a highly important decision about a person's life. She goes on to say that hunting and pecking for information in a few sentences in a textbook or article is nothing like having to gather evidence for a trial. I was not prepared at all for the level of and intensity of this type of writing. She says. The therapist I interviewed also said she wasn't prepared to write clinical analyses. They focused too much on fancy adjectives to show how much we learned, she says. Teachers can't teach every type of writing that students will need outside of the classroom after they graduate. Therefore, it is necessary for writers to understand the goal of writing and their audience. If we include real-world texts from a sample of careers, we can practice the writing and reading in those content areas. We could also perform interviews of people in certain writing-intensive careers and practice the skills necessary for those writing assignments. The point of this entire process is that not only should we teach in ELA class, but across all content areas. But, in my opinion, writing should begin in ELA. And as people have attested, writing in ELA was not enough to prepare them for life, and we need to fix that.